Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, we're going to be looking at some Lonnie Johnson Jr. replacements on the Las Vegas Raiders and on the NFL open market. Now, obviously, the moment that y'all are clicking into this video, the number one name that I'm going to get is Justin Simmons. And if you want the Raiders to go out and sign Justin Simmons, then click that like button. But if you did not see the news that Johnson ended up breaking his fibula, unfortunately, it happened in the Raiders mock game on Saturday. Fluke injury, ran into Max Crosby, and now we're sitting here wondering what exactly are Pete Carroll, Patrick Graham, John Spytek going to do with this defense, because Johnson was a player that this organization was relying on. In that mock game, he was the third safety. He was playing a little bit of single high, and it's going to be a difficult thing for the Raiders to be able to figure out how to replace him, and hopefully they watch this video in order to do it. But I did see this tweet by Johnson on August 2nd, and he said, still going to retire a Raider. I don't know about y'all. I love that type of mentality, and I am heartbroken by the injury that Lonnie ended up suffering, especially because a few days before that, he just talked about how he wanted to find a home, not only for himself, but for his wife, for his 4 kids, and how he's been bouncing around the NFL. But I love this message here, and I hope that you guys show a little bit of love to 32. Spam 32 down below, because I want him to retire a Raider as well. That's the type of mentality I'm talking about, commitment to excellence. Lonnie, keep resting up, dude. So the way that this show is going to go, I am first going to start with my Johnson replacements on the Las Vegas Raiders. I have them ranked from 5 all the way down to 1. And then at the back end of today's show, we're going to get into the free agent targets. The first name that I'm going to bring up is Isaiah Pola-Mao. And even though he is already a starter, even though he is already listed as the starting free safety, you have to imagine that with the Raiders right now testing out some of the other players in the secondary, they are going to rely on Isaiah to play a little bit of a bigger role as that starting free safety for Las Vegas. Let's go to player number 4 here. And this is where I would say these are going to be backup guys, and it might just be, we're going to throw all these names into the mix during the preseason, during training camp, to see which one rises to the top, and whoever ends up rising to the top, he's going to get the job. I got Trey Taylor at number 4 because I thought Taylor could be somebody that might get a little bit more work this offseason, and when Johnson ended up going down, I was really curious to see if Trey Taylor was going to be the name that they were going to call. Not the name that they ended up calling, but still going to be somebody that is fighting every single day to prove that he deserves to make it on this roster. Let's go to number 3 here. It's going to be J.T. Woods. I should note that Woods did play primarily corner at training camp practice on Monday, but because he does have some of that versatility as a safety, as a corner, can play a lot in the nickel, and is a very athletic player, he's going to be somebody that I could see potentially the Raiders giving a look at. But in all honesty, the top 2 names of players that I think the Raiders are going to rely on to help replace Lonnie Johnson, it's these 2 names right here. First one coming up is going to be Thomas Harper. And Harper did play some free safety last season, also filled in for Lonnie Johnson at times during that Raiders mock game, played a little bit of defensive back. Patrick Graham's defense is going to be involving a lot of different moving parts, and at the end of the day, it's not just going to be one player replacing Lonnie Johnson. It's going to be an entire team effort, and Thomas Harper is going to be a part of that. So who do y'all think down below is going to be the Raiders' top choice to be the Lonnie Johnson Jr. replacement? And if you've been following along with this show, you might already know who the answer is. If you don't, wait until this YouTube ad break, and I'm going to tell you. The name that you should have typed is Chris Smith, and I say that because it's the name that Pete Carroll and John Spytek have told you is going to be the person to replace Lonnie Johnson. He was the first person that came in off the bench during that Raiders mock game on Monday, and Chris Smith was somebody that was drafted in the 5th round of the 2023 NFL Draft out of Georgia. Now, just like I would say Johnson, not really a free safety, I don't really think Chris Smith is a free safety. I don't really think Jeremy Chin is a free safety. I don't really think that, we don't have a true free safety on this roster, which is why I do think it is so important for the Raiders to honestly go out and look at the free agent market, go out, look at the players that I'm going to have here in the back end of this video. But at the end of the day, if they feel like Chris Smith is the player that can step up and fill the role that Johnson was going to play, I got to be able to trust this organization. Now, here's the one thing. If you did not know that Smith was the player that filled in for Johnson on Saturday. If you did not know that Smith was the player that was filling in for Johnson on Monday during their practice, subscribe. You're going to become a smarter Raiders fan. If you don't feel like you're a smarter fan after a week, unsubscribe. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to get into our free agent, Lonnie Johnson Jr. replacements, because if it was up to me, I look at how much money we have. I look at what our secondary looks like right now, and I just look at this team in general, and I go, what is the weakest link? To me, the weakest link in this defense is free safety, and I would go out and I would potentially target all 5 names I'm going to be bringing up on today's show. Something that each and every one of y'all should be targeting. A brand new Raiders jersey, and you can save $26 by going to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. I'll also say this. We're going to go through a bunch of different jerseys that you'll see over here between a Genty, a Bowers, a Crosby. We got tons of jerseys. Hell, even a Bo Jackson. There's even more than that. I was literally looking right before I started the show. There's a Ken Stabler that is on sale. If you're looking to get a custom jersey, it's technically more than all these other ones. You do technically save a little bit more because it's on sale. But at the end of the day, if you need a brand new Raiders jersey, the deals that they got going on at chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys, it's such a good deal that it's going to shock you how many legends are on sale, how many youth jerseys are on sale. If you need a jersey for yourself, your kiddos, your wife, or if you're somebody who are like, dude, I'm not getting a jersey of a current player, they always end up getting traded or they end up getting cut. They got Hall of Famers, any type of Raiders jersey you want right now, it's on sale. And I think they're doing this right before the preseason. It's not going to last forever. So take advantage of it with that link down in the comments and in the description of today's show. All right, so let's go to the next part here of this episode. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is I have these free agent targets ranked from 1 to 5. Number 1 is the number 1 player that I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling. And that's essentially how I would do this. If I was sitting in a room with John Spytek and I saw Lonnie Johnson Jr. go down, the very, very first phone call I'm picking up and I'm going to go, hey, Justin Simmons, are you available and are you looking for work? Because I saw the deal that Julian Blackmon got about a month ago at this point, 1 year, $5.5 million. I would have signed up for that in a flippin' heartbeat. And the fact that we're sitting here now in this situation, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to get Simmons. Simmons has started at least 12 games every year since 2017. In his career, 134 games played, 124 games started. His first defensive backs coach was Joe Woods from 2015 to 2016. Guess what? Joe Woods is a part of our coaching staff right now as a pass game coordinator. Brian Stark, the Raiders' current assistant general manager, took over for Champ Kelly. He was with the Denver Broncos from 2012 to 2024. Simmons got a lot of work in that Denver organization, and we know how much connections matter to this organization. He's also had at least 2 interceptions every year of his career. Losing Christian Wilkins is going to hurt this defensive line. Losing Christian Wilkins is going to hurt this defense in general. To ensure that our defense is still playing at a high level, if you know that you can't replace a Wilkins on the interior, you know what's an easier player to be able to replace? Justin Simmons, putting him as a free safety, and he's a better option than Isaiah Paul-Amal. I think that he would be the best safety on our roster, not named Jeremy Chin, because Chin's playing a very different role. But my biggest concern with this defense is their inability to cover deep, and I think Justin Simmons, at age 31, is the best option. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's going to be Quandre Diggs. Now, I'll say this. Number 2 and number 3 on this list, you can make an argument of what you want to call. And I think it really depends of what you're looking for. If the Raiders are looking for a safety that can also play up in the box, that has a lot of coaching connections, I think Quandre Diggs would be number 2 on that list. 32 years old, did play in only 8 games last season, but 145 games played in his entire career. The coaching connection with Diggs, the reason why he's on this show, played 5 seasons with Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks. And when you look at his numbers last season, a 73.2 overall PFF grade, solid against the run, solid in coverage. He still offers you some of that versatility that I do think a guy like Patrick Graham is looking for. And do I think he's a better cover guy than Diggs? Or, excuse me, better cover guy than Simmons? No, I do not. But do I think that Diggs can offer you that again, versatile role that this Raiders team is looking for with strong safety / nickel / playing a free safety, high safety role. Like, that's kind of what Lonnie Johnson was doing at Raiders training camp. So if you're looking for just a free safety, that might be a bad, peg to put in a hole. If you're looking for just a strong safety, I don't think that that's right. You need somebody that can do a lot of different things, and Quandre Diggs can do a lot of different things and still bring that physicality with the coaching connection of Pete Carroll. Let's go to number 3 here. It's going to be John Johnson, and I am a little bit nervous adding Johnson to this defense because he is somebody that, even though is somebody that isn't the best tackler, he does offer you that true center field ability. And I'm a believer that the Raiders do need that true center field ability, though that's not exactly the role that Lonnie Johnson was playing. He did miss 15 games last season with a fractured scapula, though he missed only 2 games from 2020 to 2023. He can play free safety, strong safety, and defensive back, though again, I think that his best overall talent, like the way you're going to use him, let him be a center fielder, let him drop back into coverage. This has been a player that honestly has been linked to the Raiders before. His coaching connection is Joe Woods. Joe Woods was the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns for 2 seasons. In those 2 seasons, Johnson played and started in 32 games. Now, he is getting up there in age. Again, a player that's probably about 30 years old at this point, 6 foot, 210 pounds. Again, suffered some injuries last season, but even in the 2 games that he played, he had a nice PBU, he had a nice interception up against some tough competition, and John Johnson will be a name that I'll continuously throw out there. Let's go to number 4 here, and it's going to be Jordan Whitehead at safety. And Whitehead's connection comes from John Spytek. Overall, a little bit of a younger option, 28 years old, 101 games started in his career. He did end up winning the Super Bowl with Tom Brady and Spytek back when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Played mainly free safety, but also has had some ability in the box and in the slot. If you were to ask me, out of all the names that I have talked about, which one do I think might be the most likely, I would say either Quandre Diggs or Jordan Whitehead. Justin Simmons is probably the least likely name, but I think we also just got to consider the price tag. And the Raiders aren't a team this offseason that have showed you at this point that they're going to go out and they're going to spend a lot of money. Whitehead's not going to cost you a lot of money. He's only 28 years old. He had 79 tackles last season. And if you're looking for a true Johnson replacement, I do think Whitehead is an intriguing name to keep in mind. But let's go to the last and final name on this show. And again, when I did this, I said it was going to be based on phone calls. First phone call is Justin Simmons. If he says I'm not interested, I'm going to call Quandre Diggs. Not interested? I'm going to call John Johnson. Not interested? Jordan Whitehead. Not interested? Before I go to other safeties, if it got to this point, the next name that I would call, Stephon Gilmore. And I would ask him, do you have any interest in playing safety? Before anybody goes, well, that's a crazy idea, Mitch. One of the best safeties, cornerbacks, to ever play for the Raiders goes by the name of Charles Woodson. And you've seen it used recently by some NFL teams. Most recently, the name that comes to my mind is Patrick Peterson. And Gilmore at 34, 35 years old, maybe he doesn't have the juice to still play outside corner, though I make an argument to say that he does. But I know the Raiders are confident in Darian Porter, to Cameron Richardson, and Eric Stokes. So could you put a guy like Stephon Gilmore out there at a free safety job? Could you also put him as a little bit of a blend if you want to put him up near like the box? Put him as a nickel corner? I don't think that that's a terrible idea. He allowed a 94.1 passer rating in 2024, which was the worst of his career. And sometimes when you see a player of his caliber start to slow down a little bit, you can make that transition to a safety role. And if Gilmore goes without getting a job, I almost wonder if that's the only way he's going to be able to get a job in the NFL. Do you go ahead and do it? He's played football with Tom Brady from 2017 to 2019, and the best year that he ever had when he won Defensive Player of the Year was with the Bills, but that was in the in the AFC East, going up against Tom Brady's Patriots at the time. So I know that he hasn't played safety, but if those 4 names tell me no, I'd pick up the phone. I'd give Stephon Gilmore a call. I'd say, are you interested in playing safety for the Raiders? Now, I gave you 5 names. This show is built on the back of the nation. So if the Raiders were to sign somebody in the secondary to replace Johnson or to, again, just be that extra free safety, be that extra strong safety, be that nickel corner? Who do you think it should be? I want to see your answers down below, because for me, it's pretty crystal clear. It's crystal clear that this team should at least go out and try to get Justin Simmons. I understand that it takes two to tango, and Simmons and his team has reported that they want to go out and they want to play for a contender. I think Justin Simmons also wants to have a job. I think he also wants to be able to prove that he deserves to still be in this league, because this is a what have you done for me recently league. And if you go 1 year and people forget about you, they can forget about you year after year after year. Because I'll tell you this, he's not going to be getting any younger. Other honorable mentions that I at least wanted to be able to throw out and put on this video in case, I don't know, Spy Tech and Pete Carroll see it. George Odom is going to be a name I throw out there now. Doesn't give you a lot, I think, as a defender, but is regarded as one of the best special teams players out there and has made a few Pro Bowls being a special teams player. Marcus Williams, I'll throw out there, though. His glory days are well behind him. Jalen Mills has a connection with the Raiders in their front office. His name right now is escaping me. Marcus May, I'll throw out there, and then I'll go with another name, Ryan Neal. And Neal's been somebody that has been a part of some past organizations that also has some ties with this current defense here. But again, those are the honorable mentions. Maybe the Raiders go this route, but if it was up to me, I'm going to pick up the phone, and I'm giving Justin Simmons a flipping call. Just an FYI here, in case you did not know, I am going to be live later on today, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific on the Raiders Report. I do go live every single Tuesday, and right now during the preseason, our schedule is a little bit weird, but this week I know for a fact I will be live today. I will be live Thursday for the game, and then I will be live again on Friday here on the Raiders Report.